early.
We're early.
Early.
Not really. I don't know if we have a set time to be early or late.
So let me tell you something. I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
Okay.
A long time ago, I was in the restaurant business, you know. Oh, that knack.
Drop my mint. Drop my mint.
So we were.
You've told me you're in the restaurant business.
We were in the restaurant business.
Sorry.
Shut up.
Sorry.
This is gonna for everybody's anybody following and watching this. If you're in business, this episode is gonna make you a lot of extra money, but you got to use it very ethically because it's going to reveal. We put the title "A Glitch in the Brain," although it's really more of a feature, but that feature can be abused, and it can then appear up as a glitch, and it can be used against you. I remember, reminds me of Myron when he said that any principle that you're not utilizing is probably being utilized against you by someone else.
He didn't say probably. He said it is being used
It
against you.
is, yeah.
Which I tend to agree with.
Yeah, I think that's probably true for sure. Now, going to this conversation today, and you don't know where we're headed, so I like it. I love it. I love that actually.
I think we're gonna have a week where you have no idea where we're going.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
we could do that. That'd be fun. Let's do it.
Perfect.
All right,
we'll do it next week.
All right.
Happy Memorial Day, by the way.
Oh yes, Happy Memorial Day. Super excited about Happy Memorial Day, all you wonderful, fascinating people. Did you see what I did there?
Singular, don't forget.
Fascinators. The fascinators.
Singular, don't forget.
Singular.
Yeah, you're only ever talking to one person. You. Happy Memorial Day to you.
You.
Right?
It is more powerful that way.
It's not a crowd. It feels like a crowd to us, but it's singular to them.
Well,
just saying.
And yes, the experience of any kind of podcast actually feels, that's the reason why they're so powerful actually.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you're
part
almost having
part of the conversation.
You're part of the conversation, yeah. So for someone that's not a business person that maybe have stumbled upon this, I want to tell them why it's important to them as well. It will help you not be manipulated by things that you think are not manipulating you.
Hopefully.
It's gonna happen anyway. There's no way around it. Now, last week we talked. I think it was last week that we talked about Moses and the flickering flame and how it caught his eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So this is going to piggyback off that pretty well.
At least I think so.
So if you go back to that episode where we talk about Moses, it's going to be pretty powerful how that when you see something visually, your brain and because your eyes are looking at it, your brain infers it must be important, and so then therefore you consider it. Now, what we haven't got into yet.
I got in trouble for that this morning.
Explain.
The opposite of that.
Explain.
Laura and I read our Bibles first thing in the morning, and
Good.
she every morning.
Good. Do you read your Bible every morning?
So she had an epiphany, and
Yeah.
she's like, "I got to tell you, but I want to tell you after breakfast, so I can
really tell you.
Sit down and I can tell you, so I have your attention."
Can I know what the epiphany was?
No, we don't have time to go into the epiphany.
Dang.
Sorry, you have other things to cover.
But I want to know now.
Yeah, well,
he's open looped me.
Yeah, well, maybe it can be a surprise.
Can you hint me?
No.
No, you got a hint. That's required. You can't drop an open loop without a hint.
Sure, I can. I can finish the story, and then I'll give you a hint.
Okay, fair enough.
So, anyways, she's telling me the epiphany, and it's actually more or less 3 epiphanies, but they are very
interlocked.
Okay. So she's telling me the epiphany. Our dog would like to go outside because after breakfast he likes to go outside and run, and so he's being obnoxious and pestering.
Like a small child.
Yes, he's pestering me.
Yeah.
And so,
although I'm not comparing dogs to children, children are more important than dogs. Continue. Did you see that
for
thing
most
yet?
people,
Have you seen that?
I have not.
Okay.
I don't even know what you're going to say, but I'm
going to make a note because I don't want to interrupt you.
I guarantee I have not seen it.
Because it's going to get us all kinds of, when I talk about it, people is going to be mad in the comments, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to want to hear about it. Go ahead.
Okay. So I am splitting my attention, right? So
dog or wife,
and I'm not right. I'm not really splitting my attention. I'm trying to placate the dog so that he will just chill out for the next 2 to 5 minutes,
so that you can focus.
So that I can focus on my wife, However, I stopped making eye contact as my wife is telling me this epiphany. So she stopped and she yelled at me. Essentially, she didn't really yell at me. She's just,
she.
Hey, I need you to focus.
Yes.
Okay. Oh man.
It's funny.
Let me throw the dog outside real
funny.
quick, and then I'll focus on you. So, anyways, thought that was
and so
relevant.
emotionally, and going back to what our previous conversation
exactly.
was, emotionally, and I think this was even an
it was
earlier episode.
One of our first ones, I think.
Yeah, because that signaled to her that what she was stating wasn't as valuable
as the dog.
And so you, husband,
you ought to pay attention to me now.
You are now signaling that the dog is more important than your wife, which is not good for a healthy, happy marriage.
No, it just happened to be that the dog was being more loud and obnoxious than her.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but it's the same. It's your smartphone problem. You know, look down and make eye contact.
So I learned something new the other day about that, about eye contact. Eventually, we'll get to what we're talking about. That's usually the way these go.
Typically.
But apparently, and I've seen this, it was a reel, but I've got to look more into it. But it makes sense based on what I know about the female brain versus the male brain.
Okay.
He's always worried I'm going to knock on my water. You can almost fix any marriage problem by laying in bed, having a conversation for like 5 minutes where you stare in each other's eyes and you hold hands at the same time. And the reason for this is women need eye contact to
feel connected.
To feel connected, yeah. Men need touch to feel connected. And so if you just do that, then it fixes like all these other externalities that are problematic in the relationship because both get connection to the other person. And I thought that's really powerful.
I have one additional question that they probably didn't study, but I think they should. Does the benefit go up significantly if you're both naked?
Well, it definitely.
I'm sorry, I have to ask the question.
It definitely would for the man.
Well, okay.
And it probably would for the female too.
I'm just saying.
Right? But the thing about men and women is they want to feel connection and then intimate. Generally speaking, men feel connection through intimacy in that way.
Just flip it.
And it's not even touch. It's not. I don't like that word intimacy because it's usually used only for physical contact. But true intimacy doesn't have to be physical contact. Like you can have intimacy is like a deeper knowing. That's what intimacy actually is a deeper knowing.
Might be for somebody else, but it's not for me. I like physical touch.
No, I love physical touch.
More than I like anything else.
Me too, 100%. I'm saying that intimacy is not a good descriptor for that.
Okay.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I say it's not a good one. It has become normal, but it's not the historical understanding of intimacy. Yeah. So like when you say like I have intimacy with God, my relationship with Jesus, by connecting that and not having, it goes back to the language and how words change and all these things. A change a lot. And I don't like that. I mean, I understand that it has to happen to some degree.
I think it's inevitable.
But one of the things that's one of the arguments for updated translations of the Bible, actually, because so if you go to the King James Bible, for example, which is like my favorite version, but it's gonna feel like I'm throwing stones at it right now, because there's a place where the Apostle Paul, I think it's in Philippians, but I may be wrong. But he says, "Let your conversation." And he continues. Mm-hmm. And in 1611 and the 1700s, conversation meant behavior. Mm. And today, the newer translations typically say behavior because that's actually what it means. But the word conversation actually means that which comes out of you and back and forth. And so let your behavior be like in order and well and pleasing and all these things.
Interesting.
And so that word conversation, and it's not every time conversation appears.
Right.
Because back then, that word conversation was understood based on the context. But when you read it today, we only think of this as being conversation.
Right.
And so it completely misses the behavior.
There's a lot of that in the Bible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As we know.
Lots. And that's the reason why a lot of people have a lot of
translations
and confusion and just in general, because I just did a big study at church where I was leading the adult Sunday school class, and we were going through how we got the Bible and the different textual variants and differences, and where the different translations get their textual basis from, all these things. And it's just such a fascinating thing. And it's actually really powerful. And if you go deep into it, it strengthens your belief. But most people only hear random YouTubers talking about it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, no, there's an extra and here.
Oh, no.
Okay, so another one that's fascinating in the Bible is in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same. Sorry, it takes me a minute to get to this because I can't pinpoint the exact verse, but I have it based on memory. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God, and all things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. Mm-hmm. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Mm-hmm. Now that word comprehended in modern translations is it overtakes it not. Okay. Now, back then, though, and if you even think today about what comprehend means, or what the way we use it, comprehend, we think about it as being like an intellectual grasping, a knowing. And that's true, but when you overtake the understanding, you have a knowing. Like when you overtake that concept, mm-hmm. right? So it actually means it overcometh it not, but because we only interact with that word as being mental,
right, then
we can easily miss the overarching
theme of it.
Yeah, because it's overtaking it, not both in conception or understanding and in power.
I mean, there's so many instances of words and different things not having context, and different cultures creating words mm-hmm. for things that weren't necessarily original concepts.
Well, especially concepts that are abstract in nature.
Sure,
because abstract concepts are
or they blend multiple meanings together.
Correct.
So, I think it's in "Thou Shalt Prosper" by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Mm-hmm. He talks about a lot of that, and he talks about different countries and some of the words that they have. And so, I believe it's. I don't remember which country it is. I believe it's a Spanish country. Might be Spain, might be Mexico, might be Brazil. I don't know. I don't remember. And I realize Brazil's Portuguese, but South American country. Yeah. And he basically says, in their language, the word for earn money, win money, the word is the same. And so winning and earning are the same thing. In that language, in their context, right? And because they don't distinguish, I believe he goes into the basically saying, look, their output is going to be different because they believe they can't separate the concepts, mm-hmm. right? And so I found that very fascinating.
And that's the reason why a higher vocabulary individual can see the word more clearly.
Correct.
Because they can separate.
They can
more
separate
concepts.
More finite, right? It's 8-bit it's an 8-bit resolution video game versus whatever
4K resolution.
Yeah, 4K, right? This is a lot more pixels.
A lot more pixels.
Plain and simple.
So you get more detail.
You can separate out and become more finite in what something is and have a better description of things. Man, I don't know if that's why reading books is so important.
So I just had a big aha. You finish your thought.
I was going to say, that's why reading books is so important. And I know, yes, you should read I think you should read development books and nonfiction books.
Yes.
But I also think that fiction books have a huge importance in people's life, right? Especially children.
Yes.
Right? Because what does it do? It adds vocabulary to them, right, in story context. So it gives them different ways to describe things.
Exactly.
Right? And so our son loves to listen to books, and I'm happy to let him listen to, pre-filtered books within the context of what
don't let your children
just go
read unfiltered.
Right, just go pick whatever they want. But if you can give them, stories and things that you've pre-digested and know that aren't, like Lord of the Rings. So my son, we've talked about this, has read or listened to all the Lord of the Rings books. Well, because of that, his ability to describe something with large vocabulary is very good, right? Because now he's getting all these different, and Tolkien doesn't hold back, as you know.
For sure.
Or may not know. I don't know if you've read the books, but he doesn't hold back in his descriptions of things. And so I think it's a huge benefit to kids reading in general.
So this brings me to two things that I think is so cool. Number one, the reason why, another reason why it's so important to, especially for a child, but also for individuals, to partake in multiple layers of fiction and story in general, whether it be true story or fictional story, is because what it does, it is the way the brain works very similar to an AI, a large language model. I mean, it really works very similar.
It's almost like they made it like how we think.
But so what happens is the way an AI, and this is incredibly reductionary, the way I'm going to describe it, because it's much more complex, but for simplicity, the way an AI, large language model, ChatGPT, these is the way they understand what something is by analyzing a whole lot of different stories that have the same words. And then they categorize and create predictive algorithmic relationships between how far away a word typically appears within the context of a sentence, within the context of a paragraph, within the context of a greater narrative. And so what happens is every time the AI sees the word barn, cows are nearer to the proximity of the word barn in multiple different stories than beach balls.
Correct.
So beach balls are almost never
in the barn,
or even close to or around the barn. So then therefore, the AI can infer that that is a far distant concept, at least for the context of what is normally used in barn. And so this is actually the way a human brain learns language. This is the reason why it's so terrible and despicable and evil when societies try to control language and enforce language, because
the importance of free speech.
It literally is the bedrock of free speech, because when they are able to change the terminology, they are actually controlling the way someone's brain processes a thing, because they have to receive it this way.
Right.
So it's an artificial means of it. It's a way to enforce tyranny in a way that...
And it's not artificial, it's real.
It's real, yeah. What I mean by that is people think of tyranny and coercion as being like overtly physical and dominating, but it's like a subtle serpentine type way to control the masses. And so that's the reason why speech laws in general of any kind, save yelling fire in a crowded theater, is evil, because that's a lie.
Right.
So if we're going to...
That sounds like a good segue into what you're going to talk about.
Potentially. It actually is. But I want to hold back before I do. And this is not for the algorithm. This is for, because I got to get this out, because I can't miss this aha that you gave me just a second ago, because I'm never quite had this aha, and I'm trying to pull it back up.
What was I talking about?
We were talking about...
Was I talking about the words meaning different things and blending?
And blending and...
Because
it may come back to me when
fine.
I talk about this, because this is a second layer. This is another layer to it. But so we watched Beauty and the Beast, me and my children, and the old Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and as we were watching it, the first time we watched it, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the best movies of all time, period. And it really is. It's so freaking good. It's so good. But
I love your cartoons.
it's so good. It's just so good. Like, it's so deep. It's the reason why it's been so gripping for so many years for so many people. But the very beginning, there's this beautiful castle. The very first shot is this beautiful castle. And the prince, the young prince, it says he had everything his heart desired, but he had no love in his heart. And there's this cold winter's night, and an old beggar woman came, which is an angel in disguise. They call it an enchantress, but it's an angel in disguise is what it is. And she comes up, and she offers him a single red rose for stay for the night to get out of the bitter cold. And he turns her away because he's disgusted by her appearance. And she warns him not to be deceived, for beauty, true beauty, is found within. And then he sneers and turns her away again. And the moment he does, she turns into a beautiful enchantress, or an angel. And she turns him into a hideous... She makes his inside show up on his outside in real life.
Right.
But it doesn't just affect him. It affects all his servants and those that work under him. And so all of them transform into nothing but the creatures and the things and the arenas in which they serve in.
Right.
So the guy that's in charge of how the order of everything turns into a clock, and he actually represents like order, but he goes and tilts on the tyrannical side. And then there is Lumiere, which is the French candlestick, and he has these, and he's light. So he is, but he tends to be on the liberal side because he's shining light on areas that are cloaked in darkness regularly, and so he's always on the risky side, and Cogsworth is always on the kind of the conservative side, and so they're always fighting, and sometimes one's right, sometimes the other's right, and he eventually, the point is the beast is the beast. And I asked the boys, and I said, so who's the beast? And he's like, well, the beast is the beast. I was like, well, there's two beasts. Who's the other beast? And they thought for a second. They're like, oh, Gaston. And Gaston is the opposite of the prince, or he's actually like the prince early on. He's super strong. He's really good looking. All the girls love him. He's strong. He's handsome. But he has no inner...
No soul.
No soul. He has no soul. That's a great way to say it. He has no soul. And it's all about me, me, me. He's a me monster. And they immediately recognized. They didn't pick any of the other weird creatures.
Right.
They didn't pick the wolves to call the beast. They didn't call the second beast. They instantly recognized as Gaston, even though he's beautiful, right? From an outward standpoint.
Right.
Okay, now, the crazy thing is then you go to like a movie like The Lion King, and you can immediately see that the Gaston is like Scar, right? Or Jafar is like Scar in Aladdin. And then what happens is, by seeing the multitude of different fictional variations of the same concept, then the child or the person actually builds a more thorough model of the embodiment of that trait and quality. So evil means all the different ways that Jafar acts, all the different ways that Scar acts, all the different ways that the Gaston acts, right? So you have these three different things. But here's the deal. They don't all share all the same traits.
Sure.
But
they're also that same archetype.
And the thing is the brain gets to remove the traits and characteristics that don't match the meta archetype, so that they are actually building a meta archetype that supersedes and that exists, that embodies each three of those villainous characters. And so then that's how they actually learn to determine and to see and to infer how to see a villain or how not to see a villain. Mm-hmm. And so they do the same thing with the hero.
Right. So
a villain will teach you how not to be, and a hero will teach you how to be.
That's why stories are important.
Yes, and that's actually the reason why. So this is a good segue. That's the reason why stories are so important.
Yeah.
And the multitude of different stories. And that's what you see in the grand narrative of a biblical corpus is a bunch of stories. And then you can actually pull that's one of the coolest things about Jordan Peterson's hypothesis in We Who Wrestle with God. Mm-hmm. So his book, We Who Wrestle with God, is primarily about all the different archetypes and ways that God is presented in the Bible, mm-hmm. and that the Judeo-Christian hypothesis is that unlike the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians, who saw all those different qualities as being separate deities, mm-hmm. is that the good parts of the war of the God of war, the good parts of the God of love, the good parts of the God of service, the mm-hmm. good parts are all one being's individual personality traits. Mm-hmm. And so they actually, and he said it's remarkable if you're going to think of it from a ground up build, that is a way to think of God that supersedes anything that exists in the physical world, or even in the greater material world that's beyond our senses, because you're postulating an entity that is the higher up, kind of the higher up of what is all the things that share Scar, Jafar, and Gaston mm-hmm. at the same time.
Right.
That's this thing
right.
up here. And they're actually reflecting not
a
fully
portion
of that,
right.
but they're all sharing that portion. That's right. How you can identify them.
Different portions.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's how you can, both different portions and similar portions, and
right.
that's how you can identify them. And then that's how your brain builds a model of the world. And that does create a segue. And I'll tell you. So years ago, I was in the restaurant business.
No way.
Yeah. And I found out that the moment that you put a little box around any item on the menu, just a little box, doesn't matter what it is, your uptake or the amount of people that order that thing will increase insanely. And this is part of restaurant menu design. Mm-hmm. So I was a little mom and pop chain, but then I was researching how restaurants increase their money and things, and that's one of them. So you can say it if you put the headline, our most popular dish. Now, whether it was most popular or not is irrelevant.
Of course.
If you're just seeking after money, right? And so if you put your most popular,
it'll become the most popular no matter what.
That's it. And then you put a box around it. And then you make sure that it's the most profitable item, and you build it and price it accordingly. You will sell more of that than anything else. And the reason why is because of what we've talked about in the past, about your focusing attention, and then the value of it elevates, but then that second part of it, the most popular. And this is where it gets to today. And it will explain to people why the world is so twisted right now, at least on an intellectual level, not so much of a spiritual level. It will also give any business owner the tools to instantly increase their revenue. And it will also give people the power to manipulate people all around them. So I'm going to ask that if you watch this, that you do it ethically. I was talking to a client of mine the other day, and I was telling her some of this stuff, and she was like, do you think it's ethical to teach this? I was like, well, here's the deal. I got about probably 30, 40 books of people already teaching it to a bunch of marketers for the sole purpose of using it against people. I would rather show it how it works so people can be aware of it and both guard against it and
use it for good.
Use it for good. That's exactly right. And so the next story, and I'll tell a few extra stories, then I'm going to let you tell me what you think.
I have a few things. So
you want to go ahead?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. I will. If I tell you what I'm thinking now, it will completely derail you.
Okay.
It will not be good.
So there's a story of first time I encountered this in my body, like really oh my gosh. And you know this story. I was in an airport with my first cousin. My first cousin was he still is. He's absolutely phenomenal salesperson. Just so freaking good. I mean, he can sell you anything. It's amazing. It's really cool. And he's like the most anti-salesperson looking, acting, like what people conceive of when they think of salesperson. Like he's not like slick, and like he almost uses like rambling and like awkwardness. And he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And he's also like, he absolutely loves to play practical jokes on people. Like absolutely loves it.
We definitely shouldn't hang out.
So when he was a young teenager, he would go into like Goodies and JCPenney's and all these and Sears, and he would bring change, pennies and dimes and nickels in his pocket, and he would hide out underneath some clothing, or over off in the corner, right where people are checking out. Okay? And every time that the women would reach into to get their purse, he'd pull out their thumb, he'd throw a bunch of change down, and they would think that they lost a bunch of change. So everybody would be crowding around helping him get it up. And he would just laugh and laugh. And he would get on the phone with people. He'd find out the name of the business owner. Okay, this is later. This is years. He's a credit card processing salesman. He would get online and he would look. Okay, he's going to go to this town, and it's going to be who knows? It's going to be a donut shop or a restaurant or whatever it is. Yeah. He looks online to find out what the business owner is, what his name is.
Yep.
He just, okay, what's the number? Mike, you just going to call him? What are you going to say? I don't know. Hey, this is Nathan. I'm looking for John. He was saying nothing else. And they're like, John's busy in the kitchen. He's like, all right, just tell John Nathan will be over there in a few minutes. He'll pop on by in about 15 minutes. All right?
This is it.
And then so the guy is back there maybe cooking in the kitchen as a restaurant. And he's like, and he's thinking to himself, who is Nathan?
Do I know a Nathan?
Who is Nathan? Which Nathan is it? Like, who is this person who's coming? He's preparing for this person that he don't know. The guy don't know him, don't know what he looks like. So then my cousin would walk in. Like, hey, I called a few minutes ago. Nathan back in the kitchen, right? I'll just run on back there. It's this way, right? And they'd be like, yeah. So he would just mosey through. Like, hey, hey, John. Nathan. And so he'd start talking to him. He'd shake his hand. He's in the kitchen, talking to him, shaking his hand. And the guy's like, how do I know this person? he's trying to.
His brain is on fire.
Is on fire, trying to figure out, because he don't want to make it appear that he don't remember him. He's never met him before, but he's just acting as if that he should know him. He's like, yeah, we used to own you remember over there in Smithville, we used to own, my family used to own that grocery store. Do you remember that? And the guy's like, he's talking.
Would not work for me.
He's like,
I don't know.
He's like, literally. Well, what happens is he does it all in the moment of the way it happens, and everybody gets swept away, and there's all this confirmation among other people around him. It's like, hey, yeah, he's in there, right? So everybody else seems like they know him too,
right? Just
because of the way he positions everything. And so then all of a sudden, so he builds up all this social proof, even to the time that he gets the owner, and then he's like, yeah, I was over there to your neighbor. I was over to. Yesterday, we were taking care of his credit card processing and we were fixing up his machine because, he was getting ripped off and stuff. And, he told me that you're a great, and this is all true, right? But then you do it over and over and over again. He'd say, yeah, he said that, y'all probably had the same person. So I came in here, so I didn't want you to get ripped off there anymore. So I just wonder, who does, is he the same as yours? So who does do your processing?
And then he'd be done.
That's it. And the person's like, and the person has to answer the question. It's like, and so most people's tendency is to say, like, to try to help him along, right? He would not.
Let it be.
Just let it be. He's like, let me, well, I'm really busy in the middle of lunch right now. You say I got 20 orders. Can you, he's like, oh, you need me to come back after lunch? He's like, yeah, because he's now at this point in time, he's just trying to get rid of this person. He don't know that he's afraid. Right. So then he says, yeah, so he'll say anything. So he then suggests how to get him, how he can get out.
Right.
He gets out, but he confirms. He's like, so is 1 o'clock or would you rather me come back at 2? He gives him a binary to choose from. And then he says, 2 will be better. All right, cool. I'll see you at 2 here in just a second. I'm going to drive over there. Then by the time he comes out, yeah, we have an appointment. I'm supposed to be here. Hey, and he sits down at the table. Say, yeah, John, we supposed to talk here at 2 o'clock. He told me just 30 minutes ago to meet him back here. Now, he's like, no, now he's got to. He just takes off. He comes sit down, right? It's like, now, you was telling me where your credit card processing's through. I don't. Take him to his office. I have watched this man have business owners get down on their hands and knees looking through pieces of paper to try to figure out who their credit card processor service was. It was amazing. Some of the best sales training, and I never actually got worked through doing all that, but talk about, because I ended up leaving because it was taking too long for me to build it, and the restaurant was going on. But the education I received in that year, roaming around to businesses, it was amazing.
So I have an uncle who, he wasn't a sales guy. He was actually he's a computer guy, right? So he's a coder, but he had a very similar
style
mindset when it came to going places. And that was, if you act like you're supposed to be there, nobody questions it.
True story.
And so...
That's hard to make yourself do, but it works.
Oh, no, it's not.
Well,
not with training, it's not.
Well, not with training, it's not.
Not with training.
I'm saying, for the average person, you just have to, realize that everybody else is as uncomfortable as
more
you are.
Uncomfortable, typically. So I'm being real. So what I learned to do from him was I would go on vacation with him. Well, we would go to Hilton Head, and there's a lot of resorts. Well, he always wanted to go check out the resorts, but all the resorts are gated and you're not supposed to go in, right? And a lot of them had number pads or whatever. So one of his first tricks was 1, 2, 3, 4 or 4, 3, 2, 1 almost always opens those little number pad gates. Almost always. So that was the first thing. This is pre key fobs, right? So key fobs have kind of shorten that up a little bit. But when it was just the mechanical ones where they have all the different buttons on it, that was his jam.
That's hilarious.
So he would do that, and then we would just go roam around this resort and go check stuff out. And if anybody, because sometimes you're supposed to have wristbands on, stuff like that. Anybody stopped them, just it's whatever. It's in my room. So I took that when I got older, and me and my buddy went to Key West for spring break one year. Well, we weren't staying in Key West, but we drove down to Key West. Well, I did the same thing. We're going to go to this nice resort that's Key West, nice little area to swim, nice pool, all that stuff. So you walk in, and on the way in, we walked because we parked decently far away, walked in, and on the way in, tell my buddy, I'm like, we got to get a room number so that we have when somebody asks us what your room number is, what the room numbers are, because they're not all the same, right? It's not, I'm in 211. Well, 211 might not exist in that hotel, and you're done. So you have to at least eyeball them. So walk in, down, sit in the pool, chair. Sure enough, here comes waiter, server person. Can I get you guys anything? Need some towels or anything? Sure. Oh, yeah. What room are you in? This room. Memorized it, so I know. Great. Need a drink or anything? No, we're good. We're all right. Thanks. So it brings us towels, and we end up spending probably another half hour there, then we split.
Yeah,
but
that's hilarious.
It works.
Yep.
It works.
Yep,
and
it
it's
really does.
it's just a thing.
It is.
One of the reasons this is another don't do this, but don't do this, but it would totally work. I know it would work. If you get a white pickup truck, you could drive into any construction site
that
you wanted.
For sure.
Ever. As long as you had some garb, be good to go. Good to go.
And just act like you know what's going on.
You just drive over there.
Yeah.
You just drive through and check it out if you wanted. And it's just a white pickup. No one's going to stop you.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's hilarious.
It's funny.
So this is great examples of kind of what kind of feels like glitches in the brain. And so one of the things in, I have my Sway Smart coaching, and I've been going through building out a course around these things, right? Like how the brain has little misjudgments and will almost glitch, and you don't realize it happens. And it happens to everyone. It doesn't happen to you. It happens to everyone. And so I go through all these different ones, and the theme of the last 3 lessons was around the economics of the brain, because the reason why this happens is because the brain uses way more energy than any other organ. It's about 20% of the energy, but it weighs less than 5% of your body weight. So just at rest, your brain uses serious amounts of resources. And then if you start thinking, like really thinking, it goes up like crazy.
Start thinking.
Like truly, because most people don't think, they just think they think. And so what feels like thinking is actually chatbot in your brain. So it's whatever you've been exposed to, and it then predicts what's next. Okay. So one of these kind of human misjudgments that is necessary for our existence because of the energy demands and constraints is that and we talked about this last episode, our visual cortex has more of that 20%. It takes in so much information. Your cognitive functions in your prefrontal cortex can't actually, there's a bottleneck. You can't take in everything that's in your environment.
Right.
But your brain will then sift through, before you even become aware of it, what you're going to pay attention to. One of the ways it does this and sort this information is based on what other people are doing. That's one of the main things. And so the brain can keep from having to process as much data by looking at what people around them are doing, because they're all trying to survive. And so it uses other people's behavior and where their eyeballs are pointing in order to infer what's important that they need to pay attention to. And this is where it gets into how you can increase your webinars by insane amounts, how you can increase your opt-in pages in crazy amounts, how that you can change how, even if you're single, how females look at you. Like, it literally can change your life if you know what I'm about to say. So the first time I experienced it, I was in an airport with my first cousin.
Master of sales.
And we were there, and I was a young green whippersnapper, and I was sitting there at the gate, and, there's chairs everywhere. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, where you charge your phones and things and laptops is more now. It's usually like
between the seats,
in between the seats. At the time, this one was actually in the floor, and it was kind of in between. There was like a walkway, and it was kind of in between.
Those are still there.
These two chairs,
so they can vacuum.
That's right. And so what it was is, and then it had a little flap, and you could charge your laptop or whatever. And so my cousin just walked over there. He just was standing there. He said, "Hey, Rollin." I said, "What?" He said, "Come here for a second." I said, "Okay." So I walked over there, and he started pointing at it. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Lower your voice. Talk a little quieter." I said, "What are we doing?" He said, "I just need you to point at the ground, at that receptacle, and keep talking to me just like this." I was like, "What?" I said, "Okay." And I'm pointing, and he's pointing. I said, "What in the heck are we doing right now?" He said, "Just wait and you'll see. Just keep talking. Just nod your head a little bit. Shake your head. Just talk a little bit. Keep it quiet so no one can hear what we're actually saying." And it didn't take but just a second. Someone just suddenly started walking over, and they kind of, from a distance, kind of peered over our shoulder to try to see what we were looking at. The moment one person did, someone else did. And people walking to different gates stopped going to their gate. It interrupted their entire destination.
And another in, and another in.
And then all of a sudden there was like 12 or 14 people like looking to see what we were pointing at and what we were discussing. And we weren't discussing anything. His point was literally all we were doing. All we were doing. My little girl just came to the door and is
upset that it's locked.
Is upset that it's locked, yeah, because we're in the middle of a podcast. So, but the fascinating thing is that I realized in that moment that no one had any real reason
to be there.
No one at all had. Okay, I'm gonna go get that door. I can't handle that. So. You hang out right there, and I'll be back in 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
That's funny. Did you lock it again?
I'm going to text my wife and tell her.
Your feral child is out running amok. That's not true. Your little daughter is very sweet.
She is very sweet. She's the calm one.
She is the least feral of all your children.
For sure.
At least as far as we can tell, since your youngest is not yet mobile, but it's coming soon. Then you're going to be real tired.
Yeah.
That's always that stage is always the toughest for me.
Oh man.
Because they have gained mobility, but they have no sense of danger other than falling. And so there's all this danger around them, and you're just constantly running as a bumper. I mean, obviously within reason, because I'm very happy to let my child fall, but not from a
Zach
detrimental
just pushes
side.
him down. No, you don't. I just said that.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. You don't push. push your son down. Not that way.
Yeah, I throw him on the ground.
Well, that's because y'all are in jujitsu.
Whatever.
You're gonna get somebody to like report you or something.
They can report me all they want.
Yeah, well,
come on over.
That's crazy. All right. All right. So
we always get in trouble for wrestling in the store, though. My wife gets so mad because we'll mess with each other.
Oh man, that would drive me nuts. I can't.
Oh, she gets.
That would drive me nuts too.
She gets heated.
Does she?
No, just go outside if you're gonna mess around.
They're jujitsu people. They love wrestling. It's a thing they do. Yeah. All right. So we were going back to this airport example. We were there, and
yeah.
There's no good reason that everybody would crowd around. Okay. Now, this is an artificial way to control other people's behavior because it wasn't anything. Right. Naturally, if there had been something dangerous right there,
you'd have ran anyway.
It would have made sense, because everybody would have wanted to know what's going on in order to protect their family,
right?
In order to make sure that there's nothing that would affect their lives. And so, it's kind of it's been called herd mentality. It's social proof in the marketing world, but people always underestimate it. In a live sales presentation, someone can do the offer, make the pitch, and then they can say, even if a guy stands up to go turn to the bathroom, for example, they can say, that guy's got the great idea. He's going to get it. And then what does that do? That causes everybody to turn around and look, and anybody that's walking that way, they then instantly assume he must be going over there to make the offer. So if they were on the fence, then it tilts how quick they need to go do it, because then they see 3 or 4 other people stand up and they're like, oh my gosh, if I want this thing, I'll be in line for 2 hours. I don't want to be in line for 2 hours. So then even more people jump up. It's like, well, maybe I'll just make the decision. I'll go ahead and go over there. Right. I may not do it, but at least I'll get in line. And then all these justifications and reasons
at the line behind you
for that.
It's over.
Exactly. And then so you're there, and then all these people must be doing it, so it must be a good idea. So I need to do it. And so then it lowers their risk assessment and lowers the boundaries. And then what happens? To be honest, if it works, if everybody's eating this red berry, it's probably safe. If nobody's eating it, it's probably not. And so this actually works for survival. But when you recognize it with intelligent creatures like us, people can manipulate it greatly. So in COVID, here's the way they did this. During COVID, they put a running tally of how many hospitalizations. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, why would they do that? Well, because that would this must be happening to all these many people. And hospitalizations didn't equal deaths. And so it inflated the numbers to make it, and so then therefore it was more important. Therefore they sell more advertisements on their page because more eyeballs are watching it, creates more hysteria, it makes more pressure, and it reduces everyone's critical thinking in order to get to a desired outcome.
Yep.
Right? And this happens all the time. Opt-in pages. If you go to the internet where they ask you for a username, for a name and email, that right there, if you just have a picture of someone and their face and their eyeballs are pointed towards the form, opt-ins go up like crazy.
I believe that.
It goes up like crazy. They did it. They looked at different political ads, like at the time, Obama, Hillary, and Trump. And every single time they did a variation of one of them looking at the form, it massively increased revenue. One of the things that I would do with my servers, and I'll train, I say revenue.
That's why I won't go to protest.
Right? Because protest is the same thing.
Right. And the dangerous part is that you think when you show up that your normal, rational behavior is going to stay intact.
Yes.
And it's not. You will lower to the average of the group, which is terrifying.
Isn't that terrifying?
Terrifying. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You will lower whatever deductive reasoning, whatever you have going on in your brain, make great decisions all the time. You will lower to the average of the group, and you will more than likely make a bad decision.
Oh, yeah. And because of that social pressure.
Assuming that something goes awry, right? Sure, not all protests are crazy, but it's very easy to tip that scale.
So easy.
It only takes a couple of people to do something wild, and now everybody's doing something wild.
That's right.
So scary.
And then here's the wild thing.
Terrifying.
I'm sure y'all have seen, anybody watching this, and I'm sure you have too, the reels where people will like run around a corner at a street corner. Like there'll be people on the sidewalk, and so somebody will just run from the other side. The camera will be back here. They'll be watching people walk to get ready to go around the corner, and they'll already have someone on that side of where they can't see them around the corner, 90 degree, and that person would just run and go, ah!
And run
past them, and 100% of the time, people respond. And most of the time, people turn around and run with them.
Right.
Because if that wasn't made up, it would predict a good reason to get out of the way, whatever it was. You don't need, in fact, by trying to analyze what was going on would then guarantee you die if it was something dangerous.
Or at least highly increase the chances.
Highly increase the chances. And so there's so many examples of that. And some people might be like, well, that's an extreme example. You know, I'm not manipulated like that. No, look, you don't understand. If you just go back to COVID, okay, because this is still potent in most people's mind to agree if you can think about it. I did an experiment myself. I was in Tampa, okay, and I was not a big fan of the mask mandate things. And so in Tennessee, much of us just didn't wear them, okay. But I could feel
the tension.
And so I tested it and see how strong my ability was to resist it, but also feel it at the same time. So I was in the line at Tampa Bay Airline getting ready to go through security, okay? And it was backed up for like an hour. So it was like, I had my stuff.
Felt like you're getting on a roller coaster.
Everyone
had
a mask on. And I thought to myself, because I know about this tendency, I was like, what would happen right now if I take it off? Like, how will I feel? Because the likelihood of anybody doing something is very low.
Very, very uncomfortable.
And I took it off. I stood there for a while. And the emotional pressure that was there. So even though I didn't.
I did it going into stores because we were Christmas shopping.
Yes.
So I would purposely, Laura's so mad because she would rather be compliant. Yeah. And, well.
You are you.
I'm less compliant than most. And so I went into multiple stores. One of them, I remember, actually had put somebody at the front to give people masks. She went to hand me one, and I said, no, thank you. And just kept walking. And the lady had no idea.
Didn't even know what to do.
She didn't know what to do, right? Because all day, I suspect that pretty much everybody that came in the store that did not have a mask, when she handed it to them, they took it and put it on.
That's right.
And you could see her brain short circuit.
Yeah.
And then another store, I didn't wear one, and they would not check me out.
Fascinating. See, and
Laura actually intervened for the sake of the person, right? Because they were upholding this idea that
just made up.
It's all made up, and they didn't really have a basis.
Of course they did.
To uphold the idea. It wasn't even a policy, right? It was just they made it up because of whatever. And so I was going to continue the argument and try to get served. And Laura's like, just go to the car. I'll take care of this.
So here's the fascinating thing about all that.
It's a good thing we have wives in our lives because...
Well, it is, but it's also good for that. You know, there is a great social video experiment. It is amazing, okay? No, that is necessary for society. That's actually necessary. And here's the reason why. What's your behavior?
You know the one she wouldn't let me do that I wanted to do that somebody told me they were doing? They took the, like the bag that lemons come in, and they made a mask out of that. So it's very useless, right? It's basically the potato bag, gigantic holes in it, and they made a mask out of that, and then they wore that everywhere. And then it's this extra hard thing. I'm compliant. What are you talking about?
Right.
Well, no, it has to be this. No, it doesn't. Where? Show me where. Right. It's this. She wouldn't let me do that one. I so badly wanted to do that.
So I just made a claim, and I want to really dive into this because this is really important. What I'm about this is going to be a that's fascinating moment. I think.
Okay.
Is
hit me.
You just talked about how that you were rejecting this made up rule at COVID time, and the lady didn't have any grounding or basis for her belief on why this should be.
Yeah.
It just simply was imposed socially and or managerially at the day.
Or both.
And then it was in the belief in said made up thing was increased by everyone's compliance to it.
Correct.
Okay. And yielding and bending to the knee to it. Okay. So you can appreciate what I'm about to say, whether you agree with the mask stuff or whether you disagree with it. So there is a YouTube experiment. You can look at it. It's pretty easy to find. And it's a social experiment that they did where they have a fake dentist office. Okay. And they move into the area and they get all these appointments. So people come in. I don't know if it's dentist or doctor. It's something like that.
Okay.
And the people have to start coming in. And they have one person already there that are there for a plant. They're not. They're in on it.
They're an actor.
They're an actor.
Okay.
And so it starts out with a lady at the receptionist desk, a door, a seating area, a waiting area, and one person.
Okay.
Okay. And every 30 to 45 seconds, they have a beep that goes, boop. And the person that's the actor stands up, sits back down.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else comes in. They get registered in. They sit down. Beep. Lady stands up, sits back down. And the person's like, she don't stand up at first.
Mm-hmm.
And it does again. Beep. Actor stands up. And that person looks again and gets kind of rises.
A little nervous, yep.
Yeah, and then third time, beep, stands up.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. Okay. Just keeps doing what she's doing.
Yep.
Third person comes in. Fourth person comes in. Fifth person comes in. Now the original person is already taken out by this time. The original person is gone. It's only people that are regular, ordinary people that are waiting, and it takes the 24th person or something before, and it gets to the point where it empties out, where it's only, they do the experiment long enough so that all the original people empty out, and then there's only one single person left. They're doing it by themselves. No one else around. And then it fills up again, and then finally, I don't know how, it's pretty, the 20th person or 24th person or something like that ends up just looking around, kind of, just sit back in a magazine. Everybody else is standing, sitting, and then all of a sudden, as soon as a few of those people see that guy, they stop. And then all of a sudden, everybody stops. That right there is powerful.
I have an example from manufacturing. It was a story that one of our one of the managers showed with everybody. A similar experiment. You may have heard of this experiment. So, experiment goes, they take 4 monkeys and they put them in a cage, put a ladder in the middle, and they put a banana at the top of the ladder. Anytime any monkey goes to the ladder, starts to go up it to get the banana, they spray them with water, all of them. It only takes a little while, and the monkeys don't go up. We're good. We don't want that banana. Add a new monkey.
already know what's going to happen.
And the monkey starts to go up the ladder, and the others drag it down and beat it. I don't know if they beat it. That's probably an over-exaggeration, but they won't let it go up. They'll defend the ladder. You are not going up. And they don't let it go up. Same thing happens. They slowly
take the
original monkeys out. The ladder sits in the middle. The banana sits at the top. None of the monkeys that are now in the cage
never experienced
have never been sprayed by the water, but they will not go up. They will not go up the ladder to get the banana. Same thing. And the way that it relates to manufacturing is inevitably, when you have a giant system, there are things that we do just because we do them, right? And we don't necessarily know why we do them or where that thing came from, but it showed up. It works, kind of, maybe. It might work great, but we do it because we've always done it.
So there's a great example of this that I've heard Elon Musk talk about.
It's a great principle for
it is, and it's
implementing change.
Elon Musk talked about this in when he first went to Tesla, because he had because he had bought Tesla, and then it was in bad trouble, and he went to all these different car manufacturing facilities. Because he wanted to use the parts and stuff that's necessary.
Yeah.
And none of them would do contracts with him because they didn't believe in the longevity of the company. And they didn't want to create all these machines and stuff to build his parts.
And then it died.
And then it died in
just a year.
Exactly.
Bad business.
So what he had to do is he had to rebuild how to build a car from the ground up. And the way they had been building it was based on older models. And he got in there and he was there, he's known for sleeping in a glass office so everybody can see him and just living there. And so whenever he launches a company. So he'd go down and he started looking like, where's just a bunch of waste that's just costing money for no reason. And he found this process that was like where the production makes this piece, spends all this time making this piece, sends it over to this other area, and then they weld it onto this frame, and then they have to send it back. And there's a huge process. And he's like, what is this for? Why are we doing this? And so production manager, I don't know, the engineering department tells us we have to do this. He's like, okay, great. Okay.
I'm going to go find myself an engineer.
Yeah. So he goes to the engineering department, and they're like, we don't know. That's what the production people tell us they have to have for this to work right. Okay. So then he goes to the heads of all those, and then he goes to old schematics, and they go, and they go, and they go, and they go, and they go. And it come to find out it was for a specific purpose at a time that was completely irrelevant now because it was based on a different design and different way to do things. But that step was never eliminated. And he said, so Tesla succeeded for all intents and purposes in a lot of ways, because we had to redesign how a car frame is built. And so many of the parts of that design was from an older kind of technology and time where that piece was needed.
Or that step was needed?
Yeah, but is no longer needed at all because that step was a bridge to other steps, and those steps no longer exist, so it's irrelevant.
Right. Or they could be done at the same time.
Yes.
Whatever the
the specifics was.
Yeah.
And it's an example of that. It's an example of how because you do what you've been doing, no matter what, which reminds me, fascinating story of John Lennox talking to, and I don't remember which atheist he was talking about, he was doing a debate, and you know who I'm talking about, John Lennox, right? The Irish man.
Yeah.
And mathematician, Irish professor, mathematician. Such a cool guy. But he was talking, I'd love to see him live debate somewhere sometime. Gosh. Anyway, he was in a debate one time, and he was talking to this guy, and the guy was criticizing, really going after him about how that, hey, he was just born to Irish Christian parents. So, by the law of averages, he's going to stay
an Irish Christian.
He's going to grow up Christian, and it informed his worldview. And he said so.
Especially if you had a pretty decent upbringing.
Exactly.
Right. It's one thing if your upbringing was a disaster.
Yeah.
And you got beat every day, and so if Sure.
But if everything was stable,
everything's stable, everything's
with
good.
all reason, yeah.
Never missed a meal, never blah blah blah. All list out all the basic things. Yeah, probably going to stick around general area.
Exactly. So that this atheist was like really criticizing him for that. Like really, that was the vector that he was attacking, right? And so like, well, he's an atheist, and so he's, you know, he uses reason and intellect alone and all this kind of stuff. And he said, let me ask you something. He said, I don't deny this, you know, and he goes through all this stuff, you know. He's like, of course, you know, I'm yielded to this. He was like, but let me ask you a question. What kind of house did you grow up in? His parents were atheists. He was like, oh, so you kept to the same faith that you were born into too.
Winning.
Yeah, it was. So instead of attacking that, why don't we attack the arguments? It was his point.
Yeah.
Because he called him out on it. He's like, wait a minute, you're literally arguing by the same. You're
by
saying
your same results. You're trying to argue that my results should be different, even though yours are exactly the same.
Exactly.
Different.
So why don't we get back to the argument rather than trying to
these shenanigans?
Yeah, and it was so good. But it goes back to just how easily people are manipulated in general by, you know, if I'm on a webinar and someone types, I just bought, you better believe I'm going to mention it out loud to everybody else.
Been on those webinars, and I know you do.
Right? And I do that because what that does is that signals, oh, this is safe. This is useful. Now, I believe in our products very much, so I don't have a problem doing that. I have been uncomfortable with products, and, well, of course, I don't sell them when I'm uncomfortable with them, is the thing.
We don't get to that point.
But that goes to the ethics versus you have to use this, because what you're doing is the brain can't measure and account for all variables. It just can't. And so
you wouldn't do anything ever. That's why when you get in the car, you don't think about gas pedals.
Exactly.
And brake. You just don't.
Or
if you're driving stick, you don't think about clutching. You've become so good at it that you just instinctively know when.
And if you get into a different vehicle, that's also the reason why it feels so weird. Because
especially when these levers move, and normally your windshield wipers are here and they're on this side, or whatever, or you get into one and it's a push start, and you've never driven a push start.
There's
vehicle,
so many
all those things,
or you go from a truck to a car, or a car to a truck, and it's like you feel like you're about to bump into everything all the time.
Or tip all the time.
Right? Or tip all the time, yes.
Because you're so high up.
You
feel like, I'm going to tip this thing for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. Surely this is going to tip.
And so, you know, I promised that this episode, this podcast episode, would help people understand how they're being manipulated, but also help ethical people increase their sales. And it's just like that. So
And not being manipulated.
And not being manipulated as well. And so this is the reason why it's so important from a business standpoint, you better put your testimonials on there. You better put your testimonials. You better talk about, that should be the number one most normal thing you do, is talk about your client success. Now, here's where it gets dangerous, though. And it happens particularly with people that have large followings. And it's not necessarily on purpose. It is just what happens. The human brain cannot actually understand millions or even 10,000s. The human brain works in close proximity with a group of people, a tribe, a small community. That's just how we do. That's how our brains are able to function best. Now,
the law of 150, I think it is.
Is that what it is?
I think.
I believe that.
I think it's around 150 is the maximum people that you can have in a social, that humans can have in a social network. Right. And then,
but they kind of feel like they know everybody.
Well, but there's layers of it, right? So there's, intimate,
yes,
right? Direct family in your household. And then it comes out in another layer, and you know those people, but you don't know them as well as you know.
Of course.
And so then it layers out. And I don't remember what the breakdown is on it, but it maxes out right around 150.
I believe
there's actually a company that builds their buildings are based on that's the capacity for the building, parking lot, everything, and then they make a new building.
Exactly. And so since the brain is calibrated to function this way, when, say, an influencer has 3 million followers,
Yep.
And let's say they then have a product or an offering, and they sell it. Whether the product is good or not, especially like informational coaching type businesses, if by the sheer of law of averages, there'll be a percentage of those people that succeed.
Of course.
With or without the course. But they bought the course. And then what happens is then they send testimonials to that person because it's like that's when it happened for them.
Of course.
And so
it could have been one sentence in the whole thing.
Or nothing.
It could have been nothing.
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
Could be circumstantial completely.
Of course.
And so the point is that then means that person with 3 million followers, and I'm not saying that all people with 3 million followers, that's not what my point is. My point is then they could put 150 testimonials up by sheer law of averages, and then it would signal to everyone else that it's safe to purchase, which then drives it and even deludes the person selling, because the person selling is only getting the testimonials of when it's succeeding, and their brain can only hold about 150 sold people, right? And so they're king of the world,
right?
And they don't even know that their content is not that helpful.
Yep.
Potentially. And so it's very important for people to recognize this so that they can not, because I'm like the biggest proponent for buying online courses, period. But the point is recognizing what you need and not just following the herd because the herd is doing it. Not because people are just saying this is good, this is not good. And it's really fascinating. And this, I'll be able to say something I want to say here, and this is the thing that I was going to say will probably get me in trouble. But so I saw this thing the other day, because it leads into this. This is going to be so good. I was seeing this thing the other day. It was a social experiment. Okay, and it was this guy. He was walking around, and he had a petition. The petition had like 1,000 names already signed.
Right.
Okay. He was going around, and he said, "Hey, would you sign my petition?" They're like, "Oh yeah, what it's about?" And he's like, "We're trying to ban them taking very pregnant dogs and just going in there and ripping the babies out and the little baby puppies out and throw them in the trash can. Like, trying to stop that." And they're like, "Yeah, I'll sign that. That's awful. I love puppies. They're so sweet, so cute." Right?
Until they bite you.
Oh my gosh. And it was like 17, and it was like 1,000 people.
Razor teeth. Okay.
Now then what happens? Then a guy, right when they get done signing, the guy says, "Oh yeah, we also have the second petition. And it's for newborn babies. Or about to be born babies." And he switches it to humans. And the people, man, their brain short circuit. Because in real time, they have to use the same ethic and apply it to the human. And you should see their face.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I can only imagine.
It is insane. And many of them was like, there was a few of them that was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I had resistance to that. And I didn't have resistance to the puppies." And it kind of helped them. Other people was like, "I don't care about humans. They ain't worth nothing. I won't. I only care about puppies. Right? I ain't signing that."
That was your comment earlier. Goofball.
What? Yeah, I know.
Like,
that's what.
I was like, what is going on? I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
That's what, if you just came into this episode, go back to the beginning. Talk about an open loop for a long time.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
And but they were like, "I don't care about puppies," and that's what made me think of it. But then other people was like, "No thanks," but you could really. Oh my gosh.
That's the mass problem.
Yes.
Right? But for yourself in a row, I made this decision, and whatever the reasoning is, the things going through your head, here's almost exact same identical issue.
You have to, oh my gosh, so much cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yeah.
So much experience,
It's
so
so
much
crazy.
uncomfortability. And on top of that experiment, which was so powerful, is also the layer, and maybe we'll be able to explore this in a future That's Fascinating episode, but there's another layer of persuasion that exists there, is that they just publicly declared that morality, right? So it's not just that they thought about it internally. They verbalized it in front of other people and signed it, right? And then it switches, and now it's the same argument.
Which signing has a second layer of not just verbal declaration, right? Because people go back on their word. When you sign a document, the social construct that we all live in is that is a legally binding document, right? So they think of all the things that they've signed, checks, if they still sign
or
checks.
they feel all the things they've signed.
They feel
is
it,
a better way
right?
to say it, yeah.
Yeah, subconsciously they think of it.
For sure.
The mortgage to buy my house, the deed to buy my
this
house,
is now at
my
that
car, all these things.
Yeah.
That's what, you sign a marriage document too, don't you? Right? Marriage license, all these things, you're signing all these things. Now I'm on the hook.
That's right. And we will lie to ourselves most often. We'll lie to other people one-on-one a little less often. And then when we say something and make a declaration in front of multiple people, we lie even less. And when it's in front of a lot of people, you almost never lie.
The signature implies I'm not lying about this.
Exactly.
Which makes it extra rough.
Yeah, and so it's a great social experience. And it fits into this conversation actually really nicely.
Yeah,
because
does.
it's about that social pressure, when you feel that social pressure coming around. And that happens so that when you see, and that's how protests work too. They will always show a protest on TV in order to show that this must be an important issue, right? I'll never forget. Oh gosh, I want to tell you this. One of the first times that I really was freaked out by how manipulated the media is was early on in Trump's first run.
Okay.
This was early on in Trump's first run. Okay. It's wild, man. Okay. He was holding a rally, and it wasn't a very big one. It wasn't the monster ones. He was just announcing, right? And people had been asking him for years to try to run, And I mean, he's always been kind of like a classical liberal. He's like a classical liberal Democrat with some conservative values. Is what he really is. But we're listening.
Or what?
I was watching. Yeah, or he still does a lot of policies that are pretty classical liberal, but it's so this is so fascinating. So I don't think I've ever told you the story. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. I was watching this news channel thing, and they were showing this rally, and they said, this is the craziest thing. They said, "Oh, there's all these like white nationalists here with guns." I was like, "That's awful!" I was like, "What? That's terrible." Okay, so I'm like zoomed in, this is terrible. Let
me figure this out.
Let me figure this out because we don't want that.
Right.
And and so I flipped to the next station, and it was the same rally. And let me go back. The view that they showed was like this close-up view. This was about from here, or it was like from right here down, and it was like they were out, sitting out. Okay, so it wasn't even like it was open, and it was
carry.
big, and it was I mean that's pretty overt there, and I was like, man, okay, that's
so
awful.
They didn't show
you couldn't see any descriptors of the person.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Waist down.
And the next image you see, I flip to another station. And there is best of my memory, the way it worked is there's similar view, but there's different news stations, and it was of the bunch of people, and it was a mix of black people and white people, men that were like all like burly, and so it was. I know it couldn't have been because the guy they were zoomed into was the black dude. I said, what?
Oops.
I said, what? Because it was panned out, you could see the full image.
Yeah.
And on this one, it was zoomed in. And so it was so obvious that they were creating this narrative. And that immediately put me skeptical to anything else from that perspective.
I was waiting for you to tell me that it was the extra security detail.
Well, it could have been. I don't know who it was.
Right.
But that's who they zoomed into as visual proof of the headline that they had stated.
Sounds to me like it's a bunch of extra police that are in non-uniform.
Most likely what it was.
Most likely, because that's typically...
I know, but the thing is that was the narrative.
Oh, yeah,
And then they confirmed the narrative through social proof. Like, look, because you could see legs, and and it was like, oh, well, this must be...
Oh, my gosh.
This must be... And it must really be happening wide.
It's all the detectives.
Right? And I was just like, oh, my gosh, that is the most... And so that really woke me up to realize, like, what else? Mm-hmm. What else is being used like that all the time? And then that
That's a
one of
deep
those
rabbit
moments.
hole.
That's a deep rabbit hole.
That's a deep rabbit hole.
And so, at the end of the day, to tie up today's podcast, is that when other people are doing things, you pay attention, and your critical thinking about whether you should or should not do said thing decreases.
Yeah.
And so this is the reason why fast food chains can be successful. This is the reason why terrible chemicals can be in food supplies, because it's everywhere in the grocery. Other people are getting it. It must be okay. And the thing is even if the thing kills people, as long as you don't kill people fast, and as long as it's in every product, there's no way to trace back
which one it was. Yeah.
So there's no legal problems there either.
Right.
And there's no way to even test for it.
Yeah.
Because the number of people that don't eat processed food ever is almost zero.
Oh, yeah. Has ever.
Right?
I can't say that my childhood was so great.
And that's the thing. Like, we all grew up.
I don't eat more. I don't anymore, but
of course.
And
even when you think you're eating healthy, there's often things you find out later. They're like, oh, I didn't realize they did that to this before I got it as well. So
my favorite example of that, so annoying. I really get frustrated with the food labeling, marketing, legalities, and what they allow people to say and all that.
Oh, yeah.
The one that I despise the most is for dressings or whatever, and it says no sugar added. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean no sugar.
Well, they do that with MSG too. No
right.
added MSG.
Correct. But you know what happens? Manufacturer doesn't bottle it. And so that label means no sugar added during the bottling process. That's what it means. So disgusting. So annoying. It's so annoying. And I think the other one that it's laughable. It's on every single one of them too. There's no hormones, no hormones and no antibiotics for chickens or whatever, or whatever the statement is that's on every, they're not allowed. It's illegal. Like, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks for being compliant. You're not going to go out of business.
That is.
Those kinds of things just drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Because they are basically, they're lying without lying to people.
100%.
It's this half truth or this concealed thing. To jump back to your media thing though.
Okay.
Real quick. So I know everybody, I realize that the standard media is not in good faith with anybody anymore. But here's the thing. you've seen the videos where they put up all the different newscasts saying the exact same thing, right? You've seen that, right?
Uh-huh.
Social media is the same.
I know.
Might be worse. It's just an echo chamber. Yep. And it has this compounding effect that people don't think about.
Yep.
So what happens? What is the goal of social media for a lot of people, at least for influencers? Get more views, get more followers.
More views, more followers.
Right?
Same as the news networks.
Sure.
So
Exactly.
it's naturally going to skew everything.
It'll skew everything. The algorithm's really good. It's really good. Smart. Knows what you're looking for. And if you watch a video that says whatever, it's going to feed you more videos like that.
Yep.
And then the people that agree with that are going to make more videos like that because they're getting views.
That's right.
And so it looks like all these people believe this thing.
Yep.
When in reality, it's not might not be true.
That's right.
And so it's this dangerous
But
thing.
it does that on all verticals.
No, I know that.
So
no, I know.
exactly.
I know that's what I'm saying.
So
That's
it
the danger.
enforces.
It silos everybody
Silos
to
everyone.
a degree of insanity. That's why you have such high tension in the world, because you've gotten this echo chamber of this idealistic thing. And so you think that there's all these people that believe the exact same thing. And the reality is most people are probably pretty vague on that, and they're probably not quite that extreme in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah, I would agree and push back slightly. Only this much.
Yeah, that's fine.
I tentatively do agree with you. I think that as I listen to you saying this, and it may take me a minute to get the words around it to describe what I'm trying to express, but I think that I completely agree with you that the average person does not say the average person. No one. I don't want to say the average person as if I'm some high and mighty person.
The average of people.
The average of people, just in general, the number of domains they're blind in is exponential.
Of course.
And in addition to that,
It's one of the benefits of getting old.
Our brains are not allowed, it's not allowed. Our brains don't have the capacity to run the amount of data that is happening across the world and is available. Even if it was all factual and true with no ulterior motives, with no,
Sleight of hand.
with no sleight of hand, there's too much going on at all times. I don't even know what's going on in my house right now because I'm out here doing this.
Right.
So the thing about it is we can't, and so we will have all these different things happening external of us. And what people end up falling back to as ways to discern things is their most core basic presuppositions. Mm-hmm. It's how they make decisions.
Yeah.
Because everyone has a core set of presuppositions. Most people don't know what those core presuppositions are. That's the reason why you have people like atheists saying, of course you shouldn't murder people or steal. But there's a great evolutionary argument to say that you should. Right? Like the basis of morality.
Minimal energy output, maximum input.
Right? And so then and there's different arguments for like, okay, well, it's better for the continuum of the species. Yeah, but not better for that particular genetic line. But the point here is most of these militant atheist thinkers are only able to be so because they were born into a morally constructed society. And so their goods and evils at the macro level are all Christian, ethical.
They're already there from a Judeo-Christian background.
It's from Christendom. It's where it is.
Yeah.
It's from that whole ethos. But they don't know it. So they assume that it's just the standard of the species of human. That humans naturally believe blank. And that is not true at all. And so
what's that one island that no one's ever gone to? Because every time anybody even gets close to it, all the natives, there was never been contact with them, because they literally just show up. They line up at the shore with bows and arrows, and you will not make it to shore because they will just shoot you with their bows and arrows. They don't want to have a conversation.
Isn't that wild? There's societies like this of all time. I was looking at this. There was an African tribe back years ago that before they would have when they would elect their new king, they would kill 400 or 500 people, dig a ditch, put the new king in a canoe, and it would take about 400 to 500 people to kill him, to pour the blood in this hole until the canoe floated. And the moment it floated, that was that's how that was the crowning, that's crazy, right? Now, I'm not throwing any stones at any particular culture. All cultures
have done
crazy crap. And the thing is to assume that the way the world in which we live in today, of most people believe this, like, don't go burn down your neighbor's house, don't rip little puppies' heads off, treat people with respect. Those are not always historical belief structures.
They sure aren't.
At all. Even with studying a little bit of history. And therefore, when algorithms erode the value structure, or erode the foundation in which those moral principles were established, when they try to crack the foundation of, say, Christian belief systems and remove it from our culture, the unforeseen consequence by most of them is that you are now removing any grounding to why you shouldn't do bad things to puppies.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Or whoever.
Because they just think that because everybody assumes, in the kind of an Eastern European world, Western European civilization, we have a general moral ethos, right? And there's a lot of differences within it.
Sure.
But we share very commonality. But that commonality was almost 100% within the walls of Christendom. Not that everybody that believes those morals believes in Jesus,
right? But
that is they're merely their morals that they inherited are a derivative of that society and civilization.
It's the ground you built on.
It's the ground you built, and there's a fish don't even realize he's in water.
No. And
that there's a such thing as air above him that birds fly in. Right. Like, that's not a thing for a fish. And so, I think actually the reason why the neo-atheist worldview is collapsing so much for so many people right now is people have noticed how that when you erode that, then people will say, oh, okay, well, you can shoot people because of their opinion, because they said something. Because you hear it all the time when Charlie Kirk was murdered. People say, well, yeah, but you have to understand when he says things like that, that's what's going to happen. That's what they would say. I've heard so many people say that. Well, when someone says stuff like what, first of all, and then second of all, then you're presupposing
that killing somebody for an opinion is okay.
Exactly.
Right or wrong.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And then that is the root of the thing.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's fundamentally upside down
regardless
from the Christian ethos.
Regardless of my opinion.
Exactly.
My opinion does not equal I'm fallen out of the legal system, right? Exactly. And now I'm able to be killed for my opinion.
And that's the reason why.
I mean, you could, but that's the that's the slippery slope, right? That's the...
Well, because when you remove the fact that Christ is very clear, you don't get to just go
kill whoever you feel like.
kill whoever you feel like because you don't like their opinion. That don't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they killed him.
Right.
That's the whole reason they killed him, because he said things they didn't like. And so you can argue, you can debate, you can argue and debate vehemently.
Vehement.
But here's the deal, and this is where it gets really even slippery.
More slippery?
More slippery. Slippery is, and this is, oh man, this is so deep. When you remove God, you actually remove any divine moral claim, which means any moral claim at all is merely opinion, merely perspective. And then usually people jump to consensus then. Well, it's whatever the group. So then you say, okay, well, if the most amount of people decides that whatever you're saying offends them and they think they ought to have the right to kill you because of that, or unalive you because of that. I think that's what you got to say now.
Oh, is that how it is?
Apparently. So I said it by accident. You don't supposed to say that word.
Oh.
You got to be careful. You got to say unalive now.
Mm.
So, yeah. Anyway,
don't want to get canceled for using that word.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you know, they can pull back your growth and stuff, you know. So when you remove that, then it goes to consensus. And consensus is based on whatever people's opinion is. And then if your opinion is different than that, then they could then unalive you for it, vote to do so, and there's no moral grounding that anybody can revert back to.
I think I like impose death on somebody more.
I don't know if you could say that. You might could. I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
I just sounds better because what you're doing.
Yeah.
Unalive. So weird.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're doing something. It sounds like Benjamin Button something. I unalived him. Just going backwards.
So, but the thing is once you move into plurality, meaning that there is no objective right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Like multiculturalism basically states, I can't judge your culture because you have your culture's morals, I have my culture's morals, and so I have no grounding for imposing my morals and ethics on this moral ethic over here. And so because of that, what happens is everything then becomes relative. And if everything is merely relative, then literally you have no foundation for absolutely anything ever under any circumstance.
Right.
Then there is no such thing as right and wrong. And if there is no such thing as right and wrong,
then everything is permissible.
Then everything is permissible, as long as the governmental structure is adaptable to be able to do so. And that is literally
the definition of anarchy.
The definition of anarchy. And then it goes to the individual to decide upon their own laws and morals, which is the most insane thing you can imagine. The only people that believe that believe that people are inherently good and that
we're going to uphold morals.
And that they're going to uphold morals all by themselves, and that's not the way it works.
Until they don't.
Well, and the thing, and then and then the question is, what morals? What morals are they upholding?
Until they don't.
As I think it's Proverbs says that to a man, every way seems right, his own way seems right to him. He's got justifies. He's got reasons that he did it.
To justify anything.
Justify anything, and that's the reason why you have to have an objective moral value that is actually true over and above absolutely everything else.
I agree.
Because then as soon as someone says you shouldn't manipulate somebody, why?
It doesn't matter.
Why? Why?
Shouldn't steal. Why?
Why? Tell me why.
I had to. Because.
Oh. That's right. That's right. And okay, well, you shouldn't kill this person. Well, I have economic. You shouldn't abort a baby. Okay, well, but I have a good reason because I don't have the economics for it. Because. Okay, well then if you take that same thing, there's the because principle. If you take that same principle and then you apply, okay, well they could make the argument for 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. Well, what makes the 2-year-old different than that? And then you go further and you go further and you go further, And they're like, well, because
I have to chase them.
Then they'll say because it's a different developmental stage. Okay. So is someone that is 70 in the nursing home. Does that mean you should be able to, because they're an economic drain from your perspective? Or you might not have the economics to stand for it? I mean, we actually, the whole argument for all the masks was to make sure that you didn't spread it to the elderly. And so we're saying that they have value. Why? Because they're humans. You either have to ground that in their value that they bring to the table, or you have to bring it in just the fact that they're valuable because they're a human.
Then why have all the social programs?
Exactly.
You might as well get rid of those.
Exactly. Right, because that's the thing that drives me absolutely bonkers.
Don't need welfare, don't need whatever.
Never help anybody under any circumstance because of economic reasons, right? But that's stupid. That's stupid. But that's the argument that they make so often.
Unknowingly.
They don't realize they're making that argument.
They don't realize that the end of that road leads to that.
End of that road leads to that.
Right, because they think that it's this individual part of it. We'll just do it for this. Well, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way.
Because every time you do it for this, it now expands into.
It sets precedent.
It sets precedents, and then it expands into hundreds of more things.
That's right.
And then it's just the cascade of events, and that's how it happens. Those things cascade into the next, into the next, into the next, until anarchy.
Yeah. That was the thing that, so it's so fascinating. This is going to be a pretty serious thing right here. I didn't know when or if I was going to talk about this, but I think it's necessary. So I've been, when I very first, and you know some of this story, but I was a pretty big fan of Charlie Kirk, for example.
Yeah.
And because what I loved about him is he went out and tried to argue for truth, but would take his microphone and set it down and allow people to talk. And people would criticize him while he's just picking on college students. They're voters. They're real people. And they're being indoctrinated by whatever their professors believe. Whatever you want to say, the same thing is being true.
Yep.
So they should be able to have some kind of pushback on that, or some kind of intellectual sharpening. Iron sharpens iron, just as one man sharpens another. And so it's actually respecting them, in my opinion. But the point here is this. I have some friends that really are taken aback by him because of some clips that they've seen that are bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's really sad to me is there's multiple different full clips about this, but he would say he thought that the way that the Civil Rights Bill was written was written very poorly and very badly, and that it was a mistake. And I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, what? That's not good. That's not good at all.
That's a dangerous rabbit hole.
It's a dangerous rabbit hole. And I'm not going to go all into it. The point I'm making right now is so I was like, I want to go investigate and see what this is. And what it was is, it's exactly what you just said. He said the way it was, the purpose of protecting any different color of being oppressed, segregated, anything like that, refused service because of those inherent traits is wrong. And it was noble to stop that.
Correct.
But the way it was written allowed for that same idea to be expanded into any domain. So if some big burly man that is got a thing for women's dressing rooms can claim oppression by that language and by that amendment and take it to court for not letting him in there because of the way it was written. So it's the precedent that then establishes, back to what you were talking about specifically, about how that when you make a claim, that claim will then spread out into other domains and verticals. You have to be very careful, and that's the reason why legal language is so precise.
It's the Roger Bannister.
I don't know what you're talking about. Help me.
So Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile.
Yes.
Right? Can't be done.
Can't be done.
Right? But he broke that belief. And as soon as he did it, I don't know how many people it was, but he did it, and then immediately after that,
A bunch of other people did.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
Right? If you teach somebody where the chink in the armor is, right? So
yes.
The weak spot is here.
Yes.
Well, now you've paved the way.
Exactly.
You've given them the language and the method on how to achieve the thing for whatever your idea is. Exactly. And that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And that's the essence of the problem is you left a gap.
Exactly.
Right? You did good with the thing, but you also allowed for other things to happen behind it that may or may not be good.
Exactly. And so going back to this social thing, social engineering, is then when you take someone that's prolific in speaking about that particular thing, ask a question about it back to back to back to back to back, and then he explains it, but then you chop up and you take multiple sentences from each one of those where it looks like he's just saying
this
is a mistake, this is a mistake, this is a mistake. And then you talk a lot about it before and after you show the clip. Then that's the same thing as a testimonial in a webinar. A bunch of testimonials in a webinar. You can, if they're illegitimate testimonials is my point, is you then are building, you're actually short-circuiting and glitching the brain to accept a premise that was never stated at all.
By itself.
Yeah. But
you're hacking the brain.
You're literally hacking the brain. And when you cut up a video like that, you're doing it on purpose.
Yes.
And so then, this makes it 10 times worse then. Because then once that is established through testimony, then to the brain, it feels like it's real experience. So then therefore, new information that's given, it will spark cognitive dissonance and it will reject it.
Yeah.
It will reject it, whether it's true or not, because it was artificially constructed, the algorithm ahead of time. And then therefore, then that's propagated, and that's propagated, and that's propagated, and then it results to high tensions, which then results in tragedy.
Yeah.
And because people don't know how the brain works, things like that happen. It's not only because of that; it's because of evil that exists in the world. Is what it happened. Ultimately, it is. But from a intellectual level, you can see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially grafting onto a tree at that point.
That's exactly.
In essence.
Oh my gosh!
So you're saying, hey, I have this golden delicious apple tree, but I'm going to graft on Granny Smith, or is there another one that looks what would be best to do is find one that was similar color. And I don't know enough about apples, so I'm going to speak out of turn. But if I was really going to do it, and I really wanted the subversion to work the best, is I would take a tree, whatever it was, right, and I would graft something on it that was drastically different taste, but looked the same, right? Yeah. Looks the same, but the delivery. So if you pick the apple, you're not gonna get what you expected. But then you will reject the tree as a whole.
Yeah.
You will no longer go pick, even if there's only out of the 100, even if there's only 10 on it. You're no longer going to pick apples from that tree because you believe that those apples are sour. And you didn't want a sour apple, you wanted a sweet apple. And so you're just going to reject that tree as a whole, even though it was subversion and it was grafted on. It wasn't the actual tree. It's not what it normally produces. And that's essentially what's happening.
That's
right.
That's,
So you're grafting in this fallacy, and it probably happens so much that it's ridiculous. Well, I know it does because you hear people warn against it in clips. You'll hear people don't let them, don't answer them. They'll just clip you out. They'll clip out stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it happens.
Yes, it is.
Right. It's sad that people construct narratives using that method, but it's essentially that's what's happening.
Yep.
So
100%. That's fascinating.
Sure is.